So, me wicked, and I do mean idiosyncratic peeps. As you draw from the tallow of this five elementals reed, keep to the dose of which that we are one, moving transversely to Widdershins in diocil, rotating the same direction as the sun does when aloft of us as the clock hands turn. Following our star's insignia, somewhere up here, above, beginning with water at the peak of our magical star, loading with the spirit for life down through the upper right, dropping from the air in the lower right, feeding over to the fire in the lower left, and settling ashes falling to the upper left at earthen corporeal matters. As for the second interactive modality of this read, I'm hereby giving you the skeleton key to discern that interplay, if you so choose, to personalize the overall divine of this procession in your own calls on timing by jotting notations of the above cycle and cross-referencing them with the following key. Following the connection of lines of each peak, again in the diacyl fashion, starting with water, drop to the right air, up to the left earth, rooting across to the right into spirit of life, down to the left through the envies of fire, and to smoke back diagonally upright through evaporates to rebuild at the peak of water, giving the potentials you may precipitate ongoing with you for that alternative interpretation to fuel your endearing livelihoods. As any you may care to do that, I'll pluck a little play for those persevering that bardo, a few moments to gather the utensils necessary, with some accompanying instrumental bides of clock tic-tac-toe for talk, get set, ready, should one stay, or should one now go? Pencils and papers or whatnot. Flits to fancies. Let's get started with our read here from the Llewellyn Tarot. If you're feeling like you as might resonate with the transactional nature of any of these cards, I'm going to read each of their reverse interpretations. Y'all may juxtaposition at your discretion card by card. Here we goad, coerce, and coax. So the first card we got for water is the 10 of Pentacles. I don't know if the reflection, there we go. It's kind of a nice image. 10 of Pentacles. Freedom from financial concerns. Prosperity. Strong established family setting. Protection and stability within a clan. Family traditions and gatherings. Sounds like water to me. Having the time to enjoy the fruits of one's labor. Achieving of worldly dreams. benefiting from the work of one's predecessors, gifts, inheritance, archives, celebrations, and reunions. And reverse of the Ten of Pentacles would be gambling, loss, theft, fickle luck, fatality, family conflict, loss or being cheated out of inheritance, smeared reputation, hazardous adventure. Prosperity. Sounds good. And then, okay, the next card is the Star. This is what the Star looks like in the Llewellyn deck. Beautiful European-like picture there. Bronwyn, the Star. So this is going to be a little bit more in depth, as the trump cards are Bronwyn. I met somebody who was living in a World War II army tent on the side of the freeway with her bro. They even had a wood stove in there. It was cozy. Anyway, Bronwyn. That's the only Bronwyn I ever met, too. Let's see, number 17. Okay, here we go. The Star. Okay. The traditional tarot imagery features a woman naked or dressed in blue, the color of the exalted woman, i.e., Venus. She sits beside a pool of water that gives a reflective, meditative feel to the card and is suggestive of the treasures of the subconscious and life force. Two flasks appear, with one spilling water upon the ground, representing purpose and life force. She may have one foot on the water and one resting on land, as with the Temperance card. A calm, clear night sky crowns the scene and gives hope with the light of an eight-pointed star. Looks like 4 points because maybe my definition's it's on the highest setting, or a good setting anyway, maybe not the highest. So Bronwyn. Bronwyn was the daughter of Lear and the sister of the giant Bron, the Blessed, and Manawydan. Tradition names her as one of the three ancestresses or matriarchs of the Isle of the Mighty, Britain. Her dignified, resourceful character and tragic tale have given her a special place in the hearts of her countrymen. Bronwyn is ever the brave, considerate queen. It's kind of fitting for Spirit here, huh? Who suffers a dynastic marriage as a woman symbolic of her country. She makes much effort to guard the peace between two countries, but is thwarted by the hot tempers and posturing of men that surround her. Bronwyn has two half-brothers, Efnician, meaning not peaceful or strife, and Nician, meaning peaceful, who sadly plays a lesser role in her life, leaving her to die of a broken heart. Tradition places her grave on the banks of the river Allah. on the isle of Anglesey, where a landmark burial mound may still be seen today. While Bronwyn's story ends tragically, it is her patience, enduring hope, and creative approach to surviving and enduring her imprisonment that I wish to highlight in illustrating star card's qualities. Her star, in this case a starling, was a source of comfort, hope, and help. In Celtic tradition, birds are seen as otherworldly messengers, making the pair, in my view, a graceful example of the exalted air and higher mindset of the star card. Matholwch, King of Ireland, sailed to Harlech to ask Bronn, the Blessed, ruler of the Isle of the Mighty, for the hand of his sister Bronwyn in marriage. Bronn took counsel, and it was agreed that the marriage would benefit both countries. Bronwyn's half-brother Efnisien, however, was not consulted, and after the wedding he cruelly mutilated the horses of the Irish king in spite. It was a terrible act, leaving Bronn quick to compensate and repair relations. This was not an easy task, but the Irish were eventually appeased with the gift of a magic cauldron that had originally come from a lake in Ireland and had the power to restore life to a man, though he would not regain his speech. Matholwch and Bronwyn returned to Ireland, and for 1 year all was well, with the queen enjoying friendship and honor and the birth of their son Gwern. But soon after, Matholwch's foster brothers began to brood over the insult of Efnisien and pressured the king to drive Bronwyn into the kitchen to serve the court as reprisal for the sins of her brother. There she cooked and toiled and was made to suffer a blow to the head each day at the hand of the butcher, on orders from above. Furthermore, no travel or trade was allowed between the Britons and Irish, lest word of the queen's abuse should reach the kinsmen. Bronwyn bravely suffered her humiliation, keeping her heart warm by rearing a starling, which she kept hidden in a kneading trough. She taught the bird to speak and told it of her woes and the nature of her brother. Once the fair weather came and the starling was strong enough, Bronwyn tied a message of her plight to the root of its wing and asked it to find her brother. The brave little bird crossed the sea, finding Bronn in Arvon, where it alighted on his shoulder and ruffled its feathers so the note would be seen. Bronn was deeply distressed at the news, and a host rallied about the giant, who led them onto Ireland and war. When the swineherds saw them approach the Irish coast, they reported to their lord that they saw a forest advance upon the sea and a mountain move along the wood. Bronwyn explained the riddle as the wood in reality being the yards and masts of ships, and the mountain her giant brother, whom no house could contain. The Irish retreated inland and offered to crown Bronwyn's son Gwern king of Ireland, but Bronn refused to call off the advance. The Irish, thinking to honor him, built a house large enough to contain the giant. The gesture, together with Bronwyn's argument to spare both sides the devastation of war, caused Bronn to relent. But alas, the house was a trap, hung with leather bags containing assassins. Also see the Emperor card. And we will, because it's the final. Not the final, but anyway, so the plot was discovered by Efnisien, who, in his typical savage way, killed the would-be assassins and sat quietly to see the night unfold. All was congenial until Evnisian perceived a slight from the young Gwern, at which point he threw the boy headlong into the fire. It was a horrific scene as Bronwyn was restrained from the merciless flames and outraged erupted, with all sides falling into battle. The horror drew on as the Irish restored their dead in the very same cauldron Bronn had given Matholwich. In view of the carnage, Evnisian repented and cast himself in the cauldron, which broke under his strain, as did his heart. The battle then turned in favor of the Britons, but when all was over, only 7 men survived to return home with Bronwyn. She is said to have stood upon Anglesey, looked in the direction of Ireland, then Wales, and blaming herself for the destruction, died of sorrow, to be buried at the site in a 4-sided grave now known as Bronwyn's Island. In an upright hope, inspiration, guiding star, moments of grace and peace, freedom, early signs of life taking on a new pattern, freedom from trials, chance for escape, first sign of dawn, release, self-reliance, clever, inspired ideas, listening for direction, a quickening, salvation, empowerment, destiny, a time of far seeing, taking steps to save oneself, not giving into resignation, enlightened idea, planning, thaw of the ice, return of life force, rejuvenation, drawing strength from nature. Reversed, resignation, depression, no hope or energy, allowing others to dictate one's life, not listening to inner voice, avoiding the quiet dark time, and so missing out on its wisdom. Consulting others when a creative solution lies deep inside one's own mind. Wow, that's pretty extensive. I wonder what the Emperor is going to be like coming up. Okay, so that was for spirit. That was for good for our spirit. For spirit. Next is air. So I'm going to take a little break because I'm getting kind of... I'm warm. I'm so warm. Okay, so this is a little cooler attire, and for the air arm of the star today, we've got the Knight of Swords. Another kind of brief one because it's not a trump or whatnot. Knight of Swords, daring, impressive, young man of action, an impulsive but usually well-meaning person, heroic, if a little rash, a man who can be wearing and disruptive. Keep gender on the flip-flop if need be here, okay. A man who can be wearing and disruptive, but also effective, or don't. Being determined, intelligent, and single-minded. Goals taking priority over relationships. A mercenary, standing up for oneself or others, bringing matters to a head. And we'll see where air is feeding. Next, we're gonna move over to fire, so it kind of makes sense there. Reversed, a man who revels in conflict, a bitter person who resents the happiness of others, disrespect of women, and an inadequate, jealous, chauvinist or bigot. Ugh. Harsh. Let's reread the somewhat positive nature of air here today for how it is resonant. daring, impressive young man of action and impulsive, but usually I'm very, like, I'm turning red. I mean, I went in and got cooler. Heroic, if a little rash, a man who can be wearing and disruptive, but also effective, being determined, intelligent, single-minded, goals taking priority over relationships, a mercenary standing up for oneself or others, bringing matters to a head. Okay, so the next card we're going to move over is to what the fires of envies are wicking. And for the element of fire, we've got the Ace of Pentacles today. Gain, attainment, increase income, a timely windfall, kindling, right? Or what is it? Log-a-log. The beginning of a large project, recognition of achievements, treasures, good, sound foundation to launch an idea. Investors, both material and emotional well-being, confidence, measured excitement, blessings, seemingly divine intervention, relief, reversed. The ill side of wealth, greed, a derelict heart, and ill treatment of others, jealousy and decay, abomination of values, the twisting and distorting effects of greed, the narrow base belief of money being success. Good sound foundation. Okay, that's good for fire. Because we all have that element. We're all hungry and desiring and all this other stuff. So we're moving from fire to the arm of earth next. And that is where we come across the Emperor. So it's going to be a little bit of a read. And here's the synopsis. Description. The traditional tarot imagery depicts a man, a mature man, comfortably seated upon a throne. He is draped in red vibrancy and strength and holds a scepter, symbol of male potency. The Emperor is partially armored to represent his readiness for battle. The shield figures prominently, symbolizing his protective, defensive power. And the story is Braun the Blessed. So we're another element of from what we read of the star here, the brother of Bronwyn, I believe. Braun, the son of Lear and brother of Bronwyn, the Manadon. Unlike his brother and sister, who were of normal size, Braun was colossal, able to wade across seas and housed it by tents. As no building contained him, he was a forerunner of King Arthur, and some of his exploits are echoed in the deeds of the Pendragons. Braun is also thought to have provided inspiration for the figures of the Grail Guardians in the Arthurian world, who traditionally suffer an injury likened to Braun's wounded foot. It seems people had long held Braun to be an exemplary model of kingship and credited him as the source of the proverb, "He who will be chief, let him be a bridge." Oh, It's just like Bron the Tower, or Goliath could even be. Well, castle's made of sand, right? Something's got to fall to get across that moat. It seems people had long held Bron to be an exemplary model of kingship, and credited him as the source of the proverb, "He will be chief. Let him be a bridge," referring to the responsibility and sacrifice of a king, to whom more is given and from him more is required. Legend has it that the country's enduring love for Bron led Arthur to feel pangs of jealousy, and became his reason for disinterring Bron's head from its resting place at White Mount, London, where it had been buried as a talisman in protection of Britain. The name Bron means raven, and the Tower of London is home to ravens today who have inherited the custom, for it is believed their presence guards the island from invasion. The modern ravens are permanent residents of the tower, having had their wings clipped. The second branch of the Mabinogian tells of how Bran the Blessed gave his sister Bronwyn to the Irish king Mathalwich in marriage. They had a son, Gwern, and all was well until the foster brother of the king began to revisit old grievances, stoking their hatred of Bronwyn, making her suffer for the sins of her kinsman Efnisian. Also, see the star card. Pressured by this family, Mathalwich allowed shameful treatment of Bronwyn, but when word reached Bron, it was grounds for war. Raising an army, Bron marched on the Irish, who in their retreat destroyed a bridge over the river Shannon. When faced with the current, Bron remarked, "There is no counsel except that he who will be chief let him be a bridge." And so he lay across the river, allowing the host to pass over him. Under the looming threat of Bron and the ISIL of the mighty, the Irish repented the abuse of Bronwyn, and in an effort to appease the Britons, offered the crown of Ireland to Bronwyn's son Gwen, nephew to Bron. But Bron was not convinced. The Irish then built a huge hall capable of housing Bron, in honor of the giant had not known before, but it was his desire for peace and responsibility to avoid the devastations of war that finally brought Bron to meet the Irish under the same roof. Alas, the hall was a trap, and the instigating of Bron's own half-brother Efnisian, meaning not peaceful, the two sides fell into battle. In a terrible, lengthy struggle, leaving, as legend has it, only 5 pregnant women alive to repopulate Ireland. Of the Britons, only 7 men survived, alongside Bron and his sister, and Manawyddan, and Pryderi among them. Bron had, however, suffered a poisoned wound to his foot. Knowing his death was near, he instructed his men to cut off his head, which he assured them would retain his spirit and live on to keep them company for years to come. The men did as Bron instructed, and the tale takes on an otherworldly air as the men return to Harlech with the head. For 7 years the men remained in the company of the head, which kept them removed as if under a spell from the real world and its harsh condition. After the 7th year, as per Bron's instruction, they moved to the island of Gwales, off the southwest coast, where they lived for the next 80 years. This period of time has become known as legend as the entertaining of the noble head. Their enchantment of sort of between worlds continued as the spirit of Braun lingered on, and the otherworldly birds of Rhiannon sang to him in their bliss. Reality eventually reclaimed them when, just as Braun had prophesied, one of the party opened a door which faced in the direction of Cornwall, whereupon reality fell in upon them, bringing waves of grief and breaking the spell. The solemn company then carried out Braun's last wishes and took the head to London, where it lay buried at White Mount, facing toward the continent, where it served as a talisman to ward off invasion of Britain. Upright, strong leader, man of power and responsibilities, protection, conviction, and self-sacrifice. A strong masculine influence, integrity, and ethics. A father figure, a worldly power. Stability and reason, compassion, wisdom, and aid. Conquest, masculine, sexual energy. A competitive nature. Fair play. Competence, a flexible mind open to ideas of others. Established, relaxed authority. Courage, reason ruling emotion. Thought for the greater good. Reversed, irresponsible behavior. Cowardice, feeble efforts, legal problems, immaturity and ineptitude, job loss, a miserable, short-tempered employer or father, tyranny, infertility, impotence in life, weakness and injury. The Emperor. Well, let's hope we live out upright here. And then for the hexing card that pulls this reading into a close, as we had stated in the short that we uploaded. The card we got is the King of Pentacles. Or is it Queen? No, it says King of Pentacles. Save the book, the little booklet that came with this deck, which is kind of an interesting Ghost Spirit Tarot. Ghost Spirits Tarot. And the King of Pentacles here. Must be at the beginning. King of Pentacles. Ankou. The squeaky wheels of Ankou's horse-drawn death cart sparked fear in the hearts of the living. Wearing a black cloak, the appearance of the tall, skeletal figure meant certain death. Like other psychopomps, Ankou took souls from the world of the living and carted them to the land of the dead, entwined in the roots of the unconscious. Ankou is always there to remind us that all things are temporary and must eventually expire. Within the roots are the mysteries of the collective past, which hold the key to understanding our belief, time on the mortal plane. Divinatory meaning. Someone may enter your life who can offer you comfort and stability as you experience a possible transition. So yeah, that's the hexing card, honeycombing this read. kind of nice. Leaves it open-ended for tap on keg or whatever. I might like to go to one though. It's been years. Thanks for watching.